Hey guys, I'm Josh and I'm back today with another tutorial. We're going to be looking at sky replacement, so you can take that boring, plain sky and change it into something a little bit more dramatic. Today we're going to look at replacing the sky and this nice sunny shot of Norwich into something a little bit more dramatic like this. Now it's important to remember with sky replacement, the less change you have to make to the sky, so the variation from what you actually intend to have and what you actually record, the better. So here, I'm just adding clouds, and this is going to make the shot pretty easy to do. But if I did want to make Norwich into like the black center of hell, that would be much, much harder because the lighting isn't going to match, and basically you're going to have to add a whole load more post effects. But for a shot like this, just making it look far more attractive, say for a short film, is actually quite easy. First we'll make a composite shot. I'm going to rename this Sky Replacement. And here we have our original footage. So the first thing we need to do is to track it. So all I do is I open up the shot itself on the timeline. I select tracks, and I'm going to change this to a double point track. Now I want to add these tracking points onto some clear, contrasty areas that the tracker should find pretty easy to follow. So I'm going to select this lamp and this chimney. If I move this up here like that, this one onto the lamp, and then I just click the play forward in the track panel. As you can see, it's tracked that very, very easily and it's well locked on. The next thing to do is to create a point to save this track data to. And I'll call this Sky Track. We go back to our tracker, make sure it says transform, select the layer, and I'm going to do the rotation and scale to and click apply. This has transferred the data to the point. Now let's move back to the viewer, select the point, and we can see, yes, this is tracked on nice and well onto the top of that lamp, but it also has the scale and rotation data in it. The next thing to do is to try and key out some of this sky. So I'm going to go and select the Luminance key. I'll drag that onto the Norwich street footage, and as you can see, all the black areas are being taken away. So I'm going to switch it to the brighter areas. I'm going to switch on View Matte, and then I'm going to move the threshold down until the sky starts to go white, which means it will be solid. So here's about good. And then I'm going to up the tolerance. Now the thing here, the gray is coming into the shot, so this means this is only going to be semi-transparent. But that's actually quite good, because I'm not making a huge variation between the blue background there is and the clouds in front. And this will give us a nice smooth graduation between the solid areas and the transparent areas. The problem that we've got here is that there's all these areas that definitely should be solid that have now become semi-transparent as well. And to fix that, I'm going to create a plane and then build a mask that is also tracked. So I'll create a plane and I'll call it Street Mask. And now I'm going to set it so that it's parented to the sky track. The next job is to make it completely transparent so I can see through it, so that it's very easy for me to draw my masks. Now if I go back through my footage here, we can see that the plane isn't completely covering the footage. This isn't going to be great for us, so we're going to need to increase the size of this plane by increasing its scale. I'll increase its scale to 150, and then I'll reposition it so both at the start frame and at the end frame it's completely covering my footage. Next I'll move to the end frame and I'll start drawing my mask, but before I do that I'll quickly switch off the Luminance key, which will mean I can see that background footage a little bit more clearly. Now the mask doesn't need to be very, very tight here. It can be, but there's no need, so I'm just going to do a very loose mask around the buildings, the perspective line at the end of the road, and then some of the more solid parts of this bush in front, and then bring it out nice and wide in front of it because that plane is a lot bigger. I'm then going to make it opaque again so that we can see it. It's pretty shoddy, this mask, but it's going to be fine. I'm then going to go into the shape, increase the feather, and then using expansion, I'm going to bring it in from the edge a little bit, from the line that I drew. Now if I switch on my Luminance key on my Norwich street footage again, you'll see that the black is covering up the buildings and most of the bushes, and the sky is transparent. The next thing to do is a bit of a trick. We're going to move the street mask to the bottom of our footage, and then add a grade layer. I'm going to put the grade layer directly above my street mask, and then I'm going to call it Street Mask Flatten. What the grade layer is doing is exactly like if we pre-composed the street mask below it. This means that we can reference the grade layer when we want to use the mask without having to move the mask into a separate comp. Next, we're going to want to sort out those semi-transparent cars and these problem bushes in the foreground. So I'm going to duplicate the street layer, put it at the top, and then I'm going to remove the luminance key from it. Instead, I'm going to go and select the set matte effect. And inside set matte, I'm going to select my street mask flattened. What this means is that we now have a masked version of the street using our mask, which is creating the foreground elements, and then all the high detail areas are being created by the second layer of Norwich Street, which is using the luminance key to create all those fine edges. Now things are really, really simple. We just go and get our cloudy sky and we chuck it on underneath the Norwich Street layers, and then we parent that to the sky track. Now this is a massive picture of sky, which I got from Google. We can actually just rescale it and reposition it how we want to see it. So I want a little bit of blue in the background, and I'm probably going to scale it down a bit because it's huge. And there we have it actually. If we start moving around, this will be finely tracked on. All the edges are nice. There's a little bit of transparency which is helping the colouring in the edges, but we do have a bit of an issue here. Actually on this bush in the foreground where my mask didn't cover it fully, it's a little desaturated, and this is because too much of the sky is coming through from the background. But it's very simple. We go back to our mask, and then we just go and do a circle and draw that mask where we're having our issue. As you can see, it's becoming more green, and we just saw a bit of the sky as well. If I extend this out, and again feather it very heavily, it will get rid of this slightly desaturated area. But we still have all that really lovely detail in the leaves looking through to the new clouds behind them. So there you have it, a really effective sky replacement, but there are a few other things we can do. For instance, the foreground of this shot is now rather highly saturated compared to the background, so we might want to make this match just a little bit more. So what we can do is switch off the background Norwich Street layer, the one that's doing all the fine detail, and just work on the color grading on this foreground element before we copy it across. So I'm going to select the color correction wheels, drag it onto this layer, and the first thing I'm going to do is change the white balance actually and try and pick something off these clouds. This will make a subtle change and it will help us. The next thing to do is say, hey, this is too saturated, let's drop that down a bit. Then I'd also say it's a bit overexposed, so I'm going to drop that down a fair amount as well. And then I'm just going to add a touch more blue into the highlights here. That looks a little better to me. Now all I need to do is copy that same color correction wheels and paste it onto my other Norwich layer, and there you have it. We hope you enjoyed the tutorial and we look forward to seeing some of your movies using sky replacement in the future. Please do comment down below, maybe there's a tutorial you really want to see, or talk to us on Twitter or Facebook, and definitely consider subscribing. Go on, do it. See you next week. Bye.